Hey guys, this is Matty G, College Entrepreneurship, Starting and Sticking, a Manifesto in 7 Acts. This is Act number 7, Starting Feel the Fear. This is the act where I send you off into the world with only a few pieces of advice and like 200 bucks, and you make your own way in the world. It's that scene in the movie, that the father sends his son off, sort of thing. And originally I had like 30 slides in this section, but I cut it down because when you're doing something like this where I'm giving you like advice, pretty general advice, if I give you too much, it's not going to really do much good. So I cut this down to the bare essentials. So the first piece of advice I have is fail bigger and fail faster. Um, because the only way to succeed is to fail first. Um, Entrepreneurship is so much about learning from experience and so little about doing it right the first time that you have to not only expect failure but welcome it and accept it and embrace it. So um, you're gonna reach a point where things have been going great, and then you're gonna realize that you made a horrible mistake that you started at the beginning, that you've been ignoring for a long time, that's propagated throughout your business, and now you're at this point where you're like, oh my god, I can't believe I did that. And it's going to be really hard to do this. It's going to be so hard to take a step back from it and celebrate it and enjoy it and say, finally, I failed. I failed at something big. Before I was an amateur that hasn't failed, and now I'm professional failure. And professional failure is one way from professional success. So you're going to fail. Try to remember to take a step back and embrace it. Next piece of advice is do one action every day. Taking action is the core of entrepreneurship. It's the core of getting things done. And one way to minimize the fear of both failure and success is to get into the habit of starting. If you start every day, that makes starting less scary. It makes it a routine instead of something you have to force yourself to do. And I would recommend doing more than one action every day, but at the very least, if you can spare 5 minutes out of your hectic day to do one action, that's going to keep that momentum going for days and days to come. So that's my second piece of advice: do one action every day. Third piece of advice is motivation. I want to talk about one of my models for motivation that I use with clients. I have about 3 models that I use because motivation is such a complex subject. I'm going to go over one of the ones that's most simple and most effective for immediate action, and that's the 6 P's of motivation. This is something I learned when working with kids, and it blows most motivation models out of the water. So there are 6 motivators. People, you love interacting with people. It motivates you to really have that connection. Praise, it motivates you when people say you did a good job, when they say you did something. Prestige, it motivates you to be well known, to have accolades, to be talked about. Projects, it motivates you to build something, to make something of your own, to create. Prizes, it motivates you to get physical rewards. It motivates you to get money. It motivates you to get points, physical, tangible rewards. Power motivates you to have power over things and people. It motivates you to be able to do stuff. So the way I usually do this with clients is I want you to think of a hobby you had in high school. Think of a hobby you had in high school. Got that? Now think of which of these P's that hobby correlates with. So, for instance, I got a lot of people who say music, and I've heard people who say they love the power of when you play the guitar, people listen to you, so they did it for power. I know people who say they projects, they loved writing the songs, they loved creating the band. I know people who said prestige, they love being well known for playing music. I know people who said praise, they love people saying things about the music, and I also know people who have said people for music who have said that they love interacting with their friends in bands or traveling with their band or something like that. So that one thing can be all these different motivators. So think of the hobby and think of one of the which motivator it was, and then think of a more recent thing that you're doing, maybe your business, maybe something else, and see if it's that same motivator. And if it is, then you found what is your primary motivator. Once you found that, what you need to do is it's not so much about setting up reward systems or that part of it. It's really about taking away negative reward systems. So, for instance, um, I'm motivated by praise, and this example goes for people who are motivated by people and prestige as well. I'm motivated by praise, and so I have this rule that I'm not allowed to talk about what I'm doing in my business until a month after I've been doing it. Because if I tell people about it beforehand, if I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna create this great website, or yeah, I'm gonna do this new ad, and they praise me for it, suddenly I'm not motivated to do it anymore because my prime motivator has already been fulfilled. So, and you'll find systems like this all throughout all of these 6 P's. You'll find where you shoot yourself in the foot by giving yourself a reward before you've taken action or gotten results. So make sure to take away those motivators that are actually motivating you not to take action because you're already getting what you need. So that's my advice on motivation. Now I want to give you some advice on fear. And I want to talk about fear versus anxiety. The difference is very simple. Fear is based on the reality of the environment. Anxiety is based on memories and imagination. So think of next time you're scared to take a risk, to do this new thing. I want you to figure out, is this based on my environment, or is it something I'm imagining or thinking about from the past? Because if it's not something that's in this current reality that actually is a real fear based on this, it's just anxiety, which is based on imagination or memory. So, the great thing about if it's anxiety, if it's fear and it's based on the environment, you have to change the environment. It's the only way to get rid of the fear. Or you can just take action, depends on your risk tolerance. Some people have more risk tolerance and they can deal with more fear. Anxiety, because it's based on imagination and memory, all you have to do, you can use imagination and memory to minimize it. You might not get rid of it completely, but you can minimize it. So, a few tactics. One thing, if you're imagining a horrible scenario, you can say, okay, here's a horrible scenario. Let me imagine the worst possible scenario that I have anxiety about. Let me imagine past that. Let's imagine that scenario happened. What would I do to fix that scenario? You're using your imagination to project beyond your worst fear to how you'd fix that worst fear. And once you have a plan in place for what your worst fear is, you find that it's a lot less scary because you know what you're going to do. So that's one way to do it. Another thing you can do if you're imagining all horrible scenarios, fine, that's okay. Now imagine all the good things, all the good scenarios that could possibly happen. Right? So if you're imagining, man, I could start this business and it could flop and people could say all these bad things. Well, also it could be a mild success, Could make a few bucks. People could say, yeah, that's kind of cool. He started a business. Or it could be a blockbuster. I could have so much more customers than I ever dreamed possible. I could become a millionaire overnight, and people could shout and scream and praise my name. So one that's a good but kind of reasonable one, and one that's crazy. And what this does is it lessens the fear by one, giving you an alternative of something good that can happen, and two, realizing how ridiculous your imaginations can be, and maybe not taking your imagination so seriously. So fear and anxiety, how to deal with them, that's really important. So that's motivation, that's fear. Finally, I want to talk about evaluation. Correcting course and taking a step back. Because like I've said over and over, entrepreneurship, the process, is about learning from experience. It's not really about me telling you the right way to do things. So what's really important is that as you go through your business, you take that step back every once in a while and you ask yourself, what have I learned? Am I still going in the right direction? Do I need to change my product? Do I need to change my customer? Do I need to stop my business because I see a better opportunity? So what I recommend is a once a month. I do the first Sunday of every month. You can do the first of every month. You can do the first Monday. Whatever it is, it's got to be. I recommend once a month, just a day to reflect. Take a step back, saying, where am I going? How will I get there? Do I still want to be going where I'm going? Is there a better way to get there? What's one thing I could do that could get me there faster? And taking that time once a month to do that, it really makes sure that you don't miss the boat. Because if you have this crazy opportunity, if you found something in your market but you miss that opportunity, then this model doesn't work. This model of jumping in and then figuring out what you should really be selling doesn't work if you don't take a step back and really recognize that opportunity of what you should be selling. So once a month, just take a step back and figure out if you should change direction. And that is all the advice I have for you guys. I'm going to give you your $20 now. Just kidding. I could if I would, but I tell you what, I will, if you've listened this far, if you've listened to all 7 modules and you've taken action and you've really figured out what your business could be, you've simplified it, you've done all the steps that I've outlined in this course, and you're listening all the way to the end of the last video, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I can't give you $20, but I can give you a free coaching session, and then we can go from there, maybe some more free coaching sessions after that one. I'll give you a free coaching session, and we will really launch you off and get you started. So email me at matt@timetobreakfree.net with the subject line free coaching session, and I will be happy to do that for you. Thank you so much, guys. Be a boss. Start your business. Break free from the fear. Break free from the haters and get it done. Thank you so much, guys. Good luck.